I'll never forget the day that I found out about her, and I feel terrible about it now. But I was overwhelmed. I knew something wasn't right. I didn't feel good. I thought, oh my gosh, surely I'm not pregnant this quick, this soon. And you know when you got to know something, you got to know it right then. I had no right then. I grabbed up my 2 babies and diaper bag and all that stuff you take with you everywhere you go, and I went to the Walmart in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. And I bought an EPT pregnancy test, and I took it in the stall at Walmart. And I tinkled on it. And my 3-year-old boy looked at me, he said, "What, is it positive?" And it was. So I drove home just as fast as I could, and I called my husband at work. And I said, "You're trying to kill me, aren't you? With a slow vaginal death. Is that what you're trying to?" "Well, you're not going to. You better get home right now, because I'm going to walk out in the woods and let the animals eat me." But let me explain to y'all why I was so torn up. I had a 13-month-old baby girl in diapers and a 3-year-old little boy in Superman panties with doo-doo balls falling out. At the grocery store. I thought, oh my Lord, did anybody see that? I don't have anything in my purse to pick it up with. Is some little child gonna think it's a milk dud? Let's just keep on moving, everybody. Just keep on moving. But God knew better than I did, because she's been a doll baby, but she's ruined. And I know I'm the one who did it. I was tired and beat down. So, anybody here who has more than 2, you know, good night by that 3rd and 4th one, you gotta let them do what they gotta do, you know. She still cries over anything. She cries because she knows she gets her way. I said, "What's she crying about?" "She wants your toy." "Well, just give it to her." I can't deal with it.
That's one of the funniest moments in this special where you talk about the big panties. You said, "I like them to come up over my stomach."
I do. I really do. And I remember I went to Nashville. We were sitting around a big table, and all those men and women that work at Outback Concerts, who are the best of the best, said, "What do you want to name it?" And I said, "I think I want to name it the Big Panty Tour. I've been talking about my panties a lot. And I've got my panties on my mind. And I think about all through the years, my act, has been based on my life. And I think, I went through maternity panties, tiny panties in the 80s when I was in sin, birthing, big panties. Then, then trying to get my weight off, went to Weight Watchers, tinier panties, And I just thought, this feels right to me. And they were like, "We love it, Leanne, let's do it." And so I had the Big Panty Tour, had a ball. 18 months it took to get through those cities.
So let me ask you this.
Special. Now I need you to watch my entire special for 99 cents and then click it. And then I need you to watch more clips and then click it. And I don't know what you're supposed to be clicking, but the young people are telling me. I don't understand, but just click it.
Celebrating the power of possibility.
Hey everybody, this is Leanne Morgan, and I believe that anything is possible.
This is Anything is Possible. My possibility superstar is, and this is one of the things I love, I get to call you friend. My friend Leanne Morgan, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, my darling Halloran.
So let me
angel.
Let me say a few things. One, I love you. I really do. Chuck,
I love you.
I mean, it's a general agape type of. I love you.
I love you.
I believe in you. I'm watching this new Netflix special, and I was just proud of you. I want to start at the very end. I have never seen this in the entirety of the history of every comedy special that I've ever seen, from Richard Pryor all the way through Leanne Morgan. I have never seen a comedian bring their family onto the stage at the end of the comedy special.
I'm gonna bring out my family.
The reason I know that was intentional because the top line in the special has written and performed by Leanne Morgan, executive producer Leanne Morgan, and you brought your entire family on the stage.
Did you see my baby? Did you see my grandbaby Charles Wilmer?
I saw the whole, you brought the entire, why'd you do that, Leanne?
I just, they're, everything to me, and I talk about them, they're my act, they're my life. They've always been involved in everything. I just thought that was the natural thing to do, and I wanted people to see them. And I know that my fans love all of them and want to see them and what they're doing and want to hear about them. They do. I've got the best fans in the world.
Do you realize the statement that makes? Like, I'm almost tearful about that. To the whole world, the family's important.
You angel, thank you for telling me that.
Thank you for doing that. That was powerful. All right, so
Thank you,
I'm not
Henry.
crying in front of Leanne Morgan. I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that.
No.
But I just thought that was such a powerful exclamation point about who you are and what you believe. But now I want to get into the nitty gritty. You and I were having a conversation. This is 10, 12 years ago. And you were like, I don't know if any of this is going to happen. You remember this conversation?
We've had so many. Was I in a low point?
Yep. There was a pilot idea, and then it went away, and people were making you promises, and people weren't following through, and it wasn't. And you were like, I don't know if this is going to happen, but I just got to keep going. And I remember in the midst of that transition, and I'm sure you've been through a lot of them, you made a decision not to quit.
Well, yes, I had television deals, maybe 2 by then, and let me say that in 22 years of doing comedy, because God would give me these things, even if they didn't make it, it was like, Leanne, just wait, just hold on. I've got something for you. And he would give me these. I would be in Hollywood. I was in the game, but I was a mama in Knoxville, Tennessee. So I kept, there would be times when I would think, am I one of these kids on American Idol that thinks they can sing? You know, I would go through that and I'd think, maybe I'm a nut and I don't know, maybe I'm not. But then God would give me, a television deal with Matt Williams that created Roseanne and Home Improvement. And I would think, okay, I know I've got something. I got to keep going. And that after that second deal, there was a long stretch in there where I could barely get arrested.
I remember this.
And my money never went up. Like I could only ask for a small amount of money. They would say, we're going to take your travel out of it. I could never make that jump. There were times I could not get booked. My manager at the time would beg people to book me and beg people. Even like little agents that are not even big agents, but like that do things for little corporate things. And they were like, meh, meh, meh. It was not going anywhere in 2018. And I remember with my husband, Chuck Morgan, out to eat, and I started crying, and I said, I'm I think that I need to like open a, maybe if I opened a hardware store in Knoxville and people could come and I could have a big cheese wheel, like an old-timey hardware store, and I could sell baby shoes and canning things, and I could dazzle, and people would want to come and visit. I said, and he goes, Leanne, you've lost your mind. And I go, this isn't going anywhere. Like, that was a low time. I've always believed in myself, and I knew from the time I was a child this is what I was supposed to be doing. But that was a low time, and I think my children had left. Everybody had left, and graduated, and it just wasn't going anywhere. And I said I had kind of a crisis that moment, and then I don't know why I kept going.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel.
You made a decision not to quit.
And I tell you, my manager at the time said, Leanne, there's this company in Salt Lake City, Dry Bar. Nobody's ever heard of it. It's a clean comedy platform. Nobody's ever heard of it. I remember him saying these words to me, nobody will ever see it. But they want you to do a special. They'll pay you a couple of $1,000s. They'll give you a hotel room. You're going to be in Dubuque, Iowa, doing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon. That's how bad my career was going. I was doing the Chamber of Commerce luncheon in Dubuque, which, let me say, there's some of the prettiest people in Dubuque, Iowa. I don't know who those people are. They're beautiful. But they didn't even hire me to do the nighttime thing. I was the luncheon. I barely got enough money to get out there on a tiny plane with propellers at like where I thought I was going to go down. But, and he said, why don't you just scoot on out to Salt Lake City and do that, and we'll get clips. If anything, we'll get clips for you to get more Dubuque of Iowa luncheons. I'm not kidding. That's what he said to me. He had hit a wall. He didn't know what to do. And I was like, okay. And I went out there and did that Dry Bar thinking, this is nothing. But that I don't know, it's gotten like 50 million views. And that really didn't translate into ticket sales. Like, I still couldn't get booked in clubs. They would book me in a club, but they would say, we love her. She doesn't get drunk and fight in the parking lot, but she can't sell tickets. That's what they say. We love her, she's sweet, love her, can't sell tickets. And then, so the Dry Bar thing, I was getting all these views and fans and stuff, but it wasn't translating into ticket sales and all that.
Yeah.
And then I said to my manager at the time, when I say that because I'm no longer with him, because I said to him, all the people that I admire, all the people that I love to watch and that I'm a fan of have got social media people. And that's the new thing. And I think I should hire these people to do my social media. And he was like, you can't afford that and you don't need to do that. And I went against him. And it was a lot of money, but I invested in myself. And Helen, I've done comedy for 22 years, but I was a mama first. And every dime I made, I bought uniforms with it. I got everybody's hair cut. I never invested in a website for myself. I had like 2 headshots in 20-something years because it was just, I don't know, that wasn't good business on my part, but I just put everything into my children. That was what I did. And then at this point, in 2019, I thought, I'm going to hire these and I'm going to give it 3 months. I'm going to give these young boys, 3 months. And if it doesn't happen after that, I'll bow out of comedy. I knew I was going to have a grandbaby. Charlie got married right out of college. I knew they were going to have a bunch of babies. And I'm from the country. I wanted to be a meemaw. And I thought, I'll go to work at Target. I'm not kidding. I thought, I'll go to work at Target and I'll put bedding up in the back on those things. That looks fun. I really did. I thought, I'll just bow out of this.
You were about to tap out.
Yeah, I thought, I'm going to give it this. And then, because I had worked, my manager got me in some clubs. I couldn't sell tickets. I could tell they were like, oh, she's one of those Dry Bar comics. Like I was really not a legit comic. And over the years, like Comedy Central wouldn't have anything to do with me, I would get no's from all of them. And so I thought, maybe I'm not legit. Maybe this is it. This is the end of the road. And they put out one video about me taking Chuck Morgan to go see Def Leppard and Journey at Thompson Bowling Arena. And I talked about how, and I had filmed that. I had never done that bit before. I did it one time in Chattanooga. Somebody got it on film. Those boys put it out. And I've talked about old people at concerts and how everybody had plantar fasciitis and was worried about the snack bar. And everybody there is our age. And every once in a while, somebody would stand up and then they'd sit back down. And it went viral. And it was like a fire. Somebody lit a fire, and I could feel it. I could feel it in my, a wave go through my body. I knew what was happening. I was in New York City. We were moving my baby into school she went to school for makeup for television and film. We were in a tiny hotel room, and I said, I think something is happening. And Chuck said, the Uber's here. Get the luggage and let's get out. Everybody was worried about moving her in her apartment. And but in my heart, I thought, oh my gosh, something is happening. And I could feel it, physically feel it. Does that make sense? I physically felt something. I thought, oh my gosh, I knew it. I saw thousands of people sharing. Well, people saw that and started looking at everything else that I had online that liked that. And then my manager called and said, they want to book you back in Orlando. They want to book you in Tampa. They want you to come to Chicago. And I started selling out all over the United States. It happened I'm not kidding, in 2 to 3 weeks, my life changed. Is that not the craziest thing? It's so much more special and wonderful than anything I ever thought it was going to be.
The reason I'm sitting here and just absorbing what you're saying, and hopefully not stepping on what you're saying, is because I saw it happen. And I'm so proud of you for not quitting.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
For not giving up, for believing in the possibility. So it starts to happen. 100-city tour?
Yes. So I was selling out all over the United States in comedy clubs. One-nighters, and then and people were lined up. And these comedy club people were like, where have you been? Your audience is the best audience we've ever seen. They're not rowdy. We don't have to calm anybody down. They're not fighting. It would be, and this is what was special, it would be a grandmama, like an 80-year-old woman who'd never been to a comedy club. Her daughter, 50, and then her daughter, like 25. And they said, we've never seen this before. And I would see these little elderly people sitting in the front row with a little brooch on, coming to a comedy club. and I'd think, I can't even believe this. And I really messed with my head, and I thought, I need to go home with every one of them and clean their house and make them a casserole. I really did, and put in a load of wash, because they're coming out and doing this for me. Because it had been years, where I could not, comedy clubs, I worked comedy clubs, like 5 or 6 a year would book me, but most of them were like, I didn't come up in them, so they didn't want me. So anyway, that was all crazy. And then my agent called me. Somebody begged, my manager begged somebody to take me as an agent. I was selling out all over the United States, and they still didn't want me. And I don't know if it's because I was a 50-something-year-old woman from Tennessee. I don't know what it was, but they had to beg a guy, like a favor, can you take her as her agent? And so he took me, sweet young guy, and they call me and they go, Outback Concerts out of Nashville, Tennessee, which I've known Mike Smartack and Brian Dorfman for 20 years. I've always wanted to be in business with them. They did the Blue Collar Tour, and they do all the comedians that you've ever loved. Called me and they said, we want to give you a 50-city tour. Put it on sale, sold out. They said, we're going to give you another 50. So that was the 100-city tour, and I named it the Big Panty Tour.
That's one of the funniest moments in this special where you talk about big panties. You said, I like them to come up over my stomach.
I do. I really do. And I remember I went to Nashville. We were sitting around a big table, and all those men and women that work at Outback concerts who are the best of the best said, "What do you want to name it?" And I said, "I think I want to name it the Big Panty Tour. I've been talking about my panties a lot, and I've got my panties on my mind. And I think about all through the years, my act, has been based on my life." And I think, I went through maternity panties, tiny panties in the 80s when I was in sin, birthing, big panties. Then, then trying to get my weight off, went to Weight Watchers, tinier panties, And I just thought, this feels right to me. And they were like, "We love it, Leanne, let's do it." And so I had the Big Panty Tour, had a ball. 18 months it took to get through those cities.
So let me ask you this, because I think about the business. There's so much I want to ask you. So did you guys merch panties on the tour?
We thought about it, and at the time, I had a merchandise company that said that they said it's just beyond our capacity. We can't do it. But I thought about it. But through the Netflix, I signed a deal with Vanity Fair Lingerie, and I'm selling their panties, and and let me tell you how precious this is. They're in partnership with me because this new tour is called the Just Getting Started Tour, because I feel like I'm just getting started at 57 and a grandmama. And they love the fact that I didn't quit. I persevered. That a woman in her 50s, her life is not over. That anything is possible. To keep going. And if you have a dream, to keep dreaming and doing that. So they're going to give money.
Family. And you touched every point of your family. Your little daddy, your mother, Chuck, every one of your daughters, your son, your grandbaby. You literally wove an arc that touched every one of your family members, and then you brought them all on stage, which I thought was genius. Was that the design? Because here's the thing that I wanted to say to you, to your face, and this may make you take to the bed, as you say. I'm not buying the "aw shucks, I don't know what I'm doing" thing. I think you are a genius comedy mind and a genius storyteller. I don't buy it. I don't buy, it just kind of, I see too much design. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, you angel. Well, I didn't.
Just tell the truth.
I didn't get a high score on my ACT. I'll just tell you that. And I'm so worried that's going to be uncovered.
Just tell me the truth.
But I do. I guess I do. Now that I've been doing this 22 years, I guess you're right. I do.
Did I read the thread properly?
I do a thread. Yes, I do. And if you go back in all my material, the few times I was filmed over the years, I always talk about every child, about their daddy. So I do. Like when I wrote this new hour, I've got a whole new hour now from Just Getting Started tour. There is a theme. There is there's a way that I do it.
There's a structure. Mm-hmm. You have a thing.
Mm-hmm. And through this tour, this new 100 cities, I'll add, I'll subtract things something will pop that I'll think, oh, that's so much funnier, and I'll leave out this part that's not getting enough, response. So yeah, it'll take me a while to perfect it, and I'll never say perfected. It won't be perfect, but I'll do that. But I worked on that hour. It scared me to death because they said once this Netflix special airs,
yeah, it's gonna be.
You cannot say any of that. You got to do a whole new hour,
right? Because
the dry bar thing, which I couldn't do any of that either. But this scared me to death, and they said we're going to put you in LA and Southern California. In clubs all around, because if it can work in California, it's going to boom out in the middle of the country. So they put me in all these cities, and I was in 8 hotels in 4 weeks, and it scared me to death. And I thought, how am I going to come up with a new hour? I've been doing this for 18 months, and my children, it's my life, and now what am I going to, and then, but I worked it out in clubs, and now, I've got it. I've got the hour, but I'll
now it's time to fine tune it. All right, in part 2 of this interview, I want to talk to you about comedy, but I want to talk to you about this Netflix deal, because we haven't talked about that yet.
Okay.
My guest is Leanne Morgan. I'm not buying it, by the way. I don't want to blow your cover, but I'm not buying it. She's a genius comedian, great friend. My guest on Anything Is Possible. Ask you this, because I think about the business. There's so much I want to ask you. So, did you guys merch Panties on the tour?
We thought about it, and at the time, I had a merchandise company that said that they said it's just beyond our capacity. We can't do it. But I thought about it. But through the Netflix, I signed a deal with Vanity Fair Lingerie, and I'm selling their panties, and they're and let me tell you how precious this is. They're in partnership with me because this new tour is called the Just Getting Started tour, because I feel like I'm just getting started at 57 and a grandmama. And they love the fact that I didn't quit. I persevered. That a woman in her 50s, her life is not over. That anything is possible. To keep going. And if you have a dream, to keep dreaming and doing that. So they're going to give money. I think they're going to do it with 6 women. They're going to give them seed money to start whatever they want to start in midlife. Isn't that sweet? And we're going to do it at my shows. We're going to they were going to take applications, and they're going to give women the opportunity to, if they want to go back to school, if they want to start a business, whatever.
Once again, I go back to these conversations that we had. I don't know if you remember, I would talk to you about, okay, you can have this partnership and this merch deal and this sponsorship and this, and I'm watching all this stuff kind of play out, and I'm so proud of you. Now I want to do a deeper dive into your content. What I thought was genius was you took us on a tour of your family. Like, the arc of your special is family. And you touched every point of your family. Your little daddy, your mother, Chuck, every one of your daughters, your son, your grandbaby. You literally wove an arc that touched every one of your family members, and then you brought them all on stage, which I thought was genius. Was that the design? Because here's the thing that I wanted to say to you, to your face, and this may make you take to the bed, as you say. I'm not buying the "aw shucks, I don't know what I'm doing" thing. I think you are a genius comedy mind and a genius storyteller. I don't buy it. I don't buy, it just kind of, I see too much design. Am I wrong about that?
Oh, you angel. Well, I didn't.
Just tell the truth.
I didn't get a high score on my ACT. I'll just tell you that. And I'm so worried that's going to be uncovered.
Just tell me the truth.
But I do. I guess I do. Now that I've been doing this 22 years, I guess you're right. I do.
Did I read the thread properly?
I do a thread. Yes, I do. And if you go back in all my material, the few times I was filmed over the years, I always talk about every child, about their daddy. So I do. Like when I wrote this new hour, I've got a whole new hour now from Just Getting Started tour. There is a theme. There is there's a way that I do it.
There's a structure. Mm-hmm. You have a thing.
Mm-hmm. And through this tour, this new 100 cities, I'll add, I'll subtract things something will pop that I'll think, oh, that's so much funnier, and I'll leave out this part that's not getting enough, response. So yeah, it'll take me a while to perfect it, and I'll never say perfected. It won't be perfect, but I'll do that. But I worked on that hour. It scared me to death because they said once this Netflix special airs,
yeah, it's gonna be.
You cannot say any of that. You got to do a whole new hour,
right? Because
the dry bar thing, which I couldn't do any of that either. But this scared me to death, and they said we're going to put you in LA and Southern California. In clubs all around, because if it can work in California, it's going to boom out in the middle of the country. So they put me in all these cities, and I was in 8 hotels in 4 weeks, and it scared me to death. And I thought, how am I going to come up with a new hour? I've been doing this for 18 months, and my children, it's my life, and now what am I going to, and then, but I worked it out in clubs, and now, I've got it. I've got the hour, but I'll
now
tweak
it's time to fine tune it. All right. In part 2 of this interview, I want to talk to you about comedy, but I want to talk to you about this Netflix deal, because we haven't talked about that yet.
Okay.
My guest is Leanne Morgan. I'm not buying it, by the way. I don't want to blow your cover, but I'm not buying it. She's a genius comedian, great friend. My guest on Anything Is Possible.
But I wanted to tell y'all that my new obsession, what I've gotten obsessed over, because I love sports, I love football, is I've been watching quarterbacks on Netflix. And if y'all have not seen that, y'all got to watch it. They follow 3 quarterbacks, and it's precious Kirk Cousins that loves the Lord. And he is so sweet. And then it's that little Mariota man who is beautiful, and his wife, and he loves his baby, and he's yummy and sweet. And then Patrick Mahomes, honey, Patrick Mahomes. And if you watch that, I'm telling y'all, if y'all watch it, y'all will fall in love with that little thing, and you'll be worried to death about him. Okay. He is the age of my children. I could have birthed him. And I feel like I should have. And I would tend to him. I'm worried sick. All right, that little thing. I was in Denver, Colorado, doing a show the night that the Denver Broncos beat the Kansas City Chiefs, and little Patrick Mahomes had the flu and still played, and they had to give that little thing a bag of fluids. And then he went out there and played in that snow. Okay, if you watch him in that quarterback's thing, oh my Lord, he did something to one of his feet. It was a fracture or a sprain or something, and he kept saying, I'm good, dog, I'm good, dog. And they were like, you don't have to play. He was like, I'm good, dog. And that little thing hopped on 1 foot and played a whole game and threw that ball from up in it and flicked it and did it. And I have never seen anything in my life. I'm worried about him because everybody around him, his family, if y'all not gotten into this, y'all need to do a deep dive into this bunch of yahoos. Honey, you talking about some yahoos. Okay. He's got a brother named Jackson who's a TikTok star. On the sideline, while everybody else is working, like, dogs trying to win a football game, he's on the TikTok doing. And then Patrick Mahomes has got a mama who is still wearing a bikini. Good for her. Good for her. And then he's got a little wife that he met in 8th grade. That little thing's been dating her since 8th grade, and it's really sweet. And in this series on Netflix, he loves her, and he wants to be a good daddy and a good husband, and he loves the Lord. He's got faith. And that little thing's working and doing and in an ice bath, and they're rubbing him down, and everybody's beat on him in every game, and he says, I'm all right, dog, I'm all right. And then his wife... Brittany needs attention, but who doesn't? Who doesn't need attention? And if I were a child like she is, and somebody gave me $90 million, I'd act a fool too. I would. I acted a fool when I was her age, and I didn't have 10 cents. All right. And you'll see on this series, like they're working on him, and he's playing with 1 foot and doing and barely hanging on. and holding up everybody around him, and she is wanting to take selfies. And she's like, come over here, take this selfie. And doing that, and he's hopping over, taking a picture. And then, if y'all didn't know this, which I'm sure you have heard this, Kelsey and Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift is running the United States of America. And now she's going to the ball games, and you know what? Her uterus is aching. I know it is. Her uterus is aching. And she wants a baby. She wants a baby. And it's time. It's time for her to want a baby. And she wants to breed with that big old Kelsey boy. Of course she does. Of course she does. They're both tall. I mean, I could see it. And then little Taylor Swift looks like she's got a sweet spirit. And you can tell that she's worried about little Brittany. Mahomes needing attention. So ESPN had them in the box, and you could see Taylor holding her hands and singing with her and dancing with her, and had a look on her face like, I better do this or she's going to burn this thing down. But don't y'all know that Taylor Swift looks at that big old Kelsey boy's mama and thinks, look at her, she's got on a sensible shoe. She's got on a sensible shoe and a nice jean, a high waist with some stretch. And don't you know that Taylor Swift is thinking, I know that little doll put in a pot roast in the crock pot before she came to this NFL football game so that they would have something to eat when this thing was over. And you know that his mama browned that roast in a skillet with flour. I know. Of course she wants to have a baby with him and his people. Anyway, thanks for letting me go off on that rant. It's just been on my mind. I'm worried sick. Thank y'all. I'm worried.
My oldest daughter has turned 11, and she's in 6th grade in middle school. And I can tell that puberty is beginning with her. She's crazy. And she's mean as a snake. And we're scared to death of her, but we just tiptoe around her. She cries a lot. She doesn't know why, and she tells us, I don't know why I'm crying. And we just try to get through it. But I'm telling you, she can run a household. She's a grown woman. She has been ever since she got here. So I said, you're going to have to come in here, baby. I said, your daddy's going to take care of y'all. I'm going to Nashville for like 3 days. She bust out crying. I said, what's wrong? She said, don't leave us with him. He doesn't know where the food is. I said, well, that's why you're in charge. And she is. God love her. But my girls are emotional, and I don't mean to talk about them because I love them, and I know they'll visit me in the nursing home. But they are lunatics. My husband says they're psycho, and they need therapy. And I'll give you all an example. I can be in the pickup line at school, and this has happened when they were in 1st grade, and it happens every day when I pick them up at school now. I'm sitting in the pickup line, and I can see them come out, and they are in a good mood. And they're goosing each other and giggling and doing and talking and having a good time. They're waving to the teachers and the principal. See you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over to my vehicle. Get in. Shut the door. My 11-year-old take her backpack and sling it and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up there in a daze. She'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama, Mama, Mama. What? I'm listening. She asked me some of the craziest things. One day she said to me, did Jesus ever have head lice? How do you answer something like that? I said, well, baby, if he did, I know he healed it. And then my girls would be whipping each other in the back seat and telling each other how bad they hate each other and they wished each other were dead. And then my sweet boy will come out. He'll get in and he'll say, you know, they're building a new Home Depot up on 281. I also wanted to not wear my glasses. And I love my glasses, and I think I look cute in my glasses. But when I'm on stage like this, they look very filthy through them, and I can't see people. And so I have now mastered contacts. But for years, it took me years to do that. And my precious, yummy doctor is out in Farragut, and his name is Dr. Charles Shield, the senior, the little yummy thing, is in his 80s. He's about this tall. He wears, it looks like homemade blue jeans. I know they're not, but... And he wears them up under his little armpits. And he's so yummy. And he loves Cheesecake Factory. And he loves mango, cheesecake. I could eat his lips off. Okay, so So I go in there and he goes, Leanne, you're going to have power on top and reading on the bottom, because I'm 51. And so I was like, okay, but I want some contacts because I want to, be hip and be able to wear. So that little thing straddled me for 30 minutes. We wallered each other and wallered each other. I thought, are we going to have to get married? And he said, I can't do it, Leanne. You keep shutting your eyelid, and I can't get in there to your eyeball. And you would think that I could touch my own eyeball. I mean, I've had 3 children 2 different ways. I've been through some crap, so you'd think that I could touch my own eyeball. So I go home, and my husband used to wear them, but he had LASIK, and he said, I'll put those contacts in your eyeballs. And I thought, if he touches my eyeball, he'll want to touch something else. And I am so tired. And so my middle one, who's at the University of Tennessee, okay, she wears them. And so she has been helping me get them in now for the past couple of years and has to take them out for me, and we have to meet halfway. And she'll say, I've got a paper due. And I'll say, I'm so sorry, but I'm paying for everything. So, could you meet me at a gas station? She literally has met me in the bathroom, in a public bathroom, and leaned me over the toilet and had to get them out. Okay, we went to Florida, and I wanted to be able to wear contacts. I didn't want to be on the beach and wear my readers and then, my glasses and look like a jeweler and then, my sunglasses. So I put contacts in. We were in this outdoor thing, shopping thing, where I was buying her something. I was actually buying her something. And I said, something doesn't feel right. This is hurting so bad. And she went, oh, Mom, you got 2 in your right eye. And she went and just grabbed it out of my eye. And she's like, what do you want me to do with it? I said, I don't know, butthole. Just leave it on the ground. I'm trying to adjust to just being with their daddy. And so I bought him tickets to go see Def Leppard and Journey. Okay, let me tell you, have y'all been to concerts lately with old people that are older than I am? Okay, we went and I thought, oh, we're gonna have a fun date. And I said, where are we gonna go out to eat? And he goes, I don't have time for that. It was on a weeknight. So he went to the Pilot and bought himself a tall boy. And I think that's what it's called, and an egg salad sandwich from the Pilot. And so I didn't get to eat, and I was so hungry. And it dawned on me at a concert, when I was 20 and I'd go to a concert. I was at University of Tennessee, and so I'd go to Thompson Bowling. And I'd wear a crop top. And I didn't care about eating. I wasn't hungry, I was thinking what boys were going to be there, and I had on little bitty breeches. Because I still had a metabolism and my thyroid was acting right. Okay. So we go to Def Leppard and Journey, and everybody there is our age. And everybody's worried about the snack bar, first of all. And I was too. And I was so hungry, and I noticed that people had big Diet Cokes, big buckets of Diet Coke, and were sucking on those big buckets of Diet Coke while the concert was going on. And every once in a while, somebody would stand up and And then they sat back down. Nobody, this doll does not need to worry about me showing you my Spanx. Okay? Because you would, oh, thanks, he went. Because you would vomit. My darling. Because I'm 52 and I've lost my bloom. And life has kicked me in the teeth. And I eat sugar. And white flour. To push down my emotions. To keep from getting hooked on whiskey. Thank y'all so much for coming out tonight. Thank you. I've always loved Chattanooga because my best friend lives here, but also now I have something very special. My 22-year-old baby lives here now in Chattanooga. And she works for Make-A-Wish, East Tennessee. And you may have seen the video that Trish was talking about that's got over 15 million views, and I talk about her being mean. It's just to me. She's just mean to me, not other people. She holds it in so she can spew it out onto me. But she knows she's very sweet and very precious, and she's been backstage with me. But no, I'm not going to show you my Spanx, and you better be thankful I don't have on my Soma panties tonight. But my Spanx is like folding down over my stomach as we speak. Everywhere I go, I ask, do you think it's easier to raise girls or boys? And people say boys. And we love our girls. We love our girls. I'll give y'all an example. I'll be in the pickup line since she's been in kindergarten and now she's in 8th grade. Every day I get to go thank the Lord and pick them up from school. And I'm sitting in my minivan. All right, I'm watching them come out. And they are in a good mood. I saw it. And they're goosing each other and see you tomorrow. Okay. Then they come over my minivan. Get in, shut the door. My 8th grader take her backpack, sling it, and hit me in the back of the head with it. Every day she says something like this. I'm starving to death. You don't have a piece of cheese in this car? Your driving's making me car sick. I hate her. Why'd you have her? And then my baby will be sitting up in the back and she'll be going, Mama, 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 Mama. What? Mama, Mama. What? I'm listening. What is it? One time she said to me, she can say some of the craziest things, that baby can. She said, did Jesus ever have head lice? I'm tickled to death to be here in Austin. It's one of my favorite places. Kumbaya. Kumbaya. Got all my young, hip people over here. Feel good. Not dragged down by a bunch of kids. Look, woo! She feels good. Date night, fun. Oh, y'all. Some of y'all are looking at me like, we've been stuck in the house all week in that ice. And now we bought tickets to hicham. Yep, you did. I'm from Knoxville, Tennessee, but I feel very connected to Texas people because I lived in San Antonio for 3 years and about 3 years ago, and Davy Crockett. I have to mention that every time because of Davy Crockett, the Tennessee Volunteers, all those boys, we saved y'all. So they said, you're going to, for 10 weeks, you're going to do CrossFit 3 days a week, and you're going to do the paleo diet. The paleo diet is what God put upon this earth to sustain us. And He knows what we need. So it's lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, berries, and seeds. So if you can run it down and kill it, dig it out of the ground, pick it off of a bush, you can eat it. That means no dairy, no grains of any kind. But when they take you lean meats, fruits, vegetables, nuts, and berries, you think, that's not so bad. Okay, but no dairy, no grains. When's the last time anybody in here got off of white flour? Anybody, can you clap? Can you clap or are you too weak? Anybody here been hooked on heroin? Anybody? I've never been hooked on heroin, praise God, but I was raised watching Shaft. I don't know if y'all watched that when y'all were little on TV, and they would always have somebody getting off of heroin. It looked like a booger. It looked like an awful booger. And I'm not trying to belittle that, but I'm telling you, I shook getting off of sugar. And it came with its own bag of whore makeup. So that all the little children could look alike. And they said, y'all are gonna travel to faraway lands and compete against other little whore children. So we went to like Cincinnati or Atlanta, and we had to get hotel rooms and the gas and all of that, and then you drive up to a big coliseum, a huge coliseum, and there's tens of thousands of little whore children walking around. And my husband said, there could be pedophiles here. This is the ugliest thing I've ever, something's not right. Okay, so then they said, you're gonna pay $150 for your baby to be in this competition. You're gonna have to pay $30 to put a band on to get in and watch your baby in this competition. Somebody was selling corn dogs for $15. Okay. They start out with the babies, so it goes from 5 to 18 ages. So the babies come out in a tiny little skirt about the size of a napkin. And they come out to Beyonce's All the Single Ladies. And their little mamas are in their 20s. And they're not bitter yet. And they're in the front doing every move to keep their baby on track because they're babies and they need to be at home breastfeeding. So they move up throughout the day into my baby's age, and they're the reef sharks. They call out that name, honey, for 2.5 minutes. My baby throws little children up in the air. After I had that hernia surgery, I laid up in the bed for 3 days and nobody checked on me. I finally hobbled over to the top of the stairs and I yelled down, I said, are we gonna eat anything? And all I could hear was somebody rummaging through my purse. After that hernia surgery, I quit exercising and gave up. And gained a lot of weight, and I feel so fat. I want to be pretty for y'all, but I'm so bloated and fat. And I just praise God that Weight Watchers doesn't have a limit on how many times you can join. I've joined Weight Watchers 9 times, and I've lost 7 pounds. And I know it works, like if you do it, but I don't follow that. Because they give you a point value on your food. Say you get like 23 points a day, and a chicken breast is 3 points. And fruits and vegetables are free. Woo! You don't want fruits and vegetables. You're so hungry that you could eat the wallpaper off the walls. You want a Snickers bar, but they're like 12 points. And my sister goes on it every time I do, and she'll call me and she'll say, "It's noon, and I've eaten all my points." Okay, y'all, I was beautiful in a bikini one day before I lost my bloom. Okay, so I started having to buy one-pieces. I don't want to scare these little boys in here. I hope y'all... Have y'all ever heard of that book, 5 Love Languages? It is wonderful, and it works. It's the real deal. My husband and I went on a Sunday school class retreat when our children were little, and we watched this little frail man talk about it. Okay, and it was on Oprah, so you know it's real. But anyway, what it is there's 5 love languages, and you get the book, you read the book. Well, you don't really, I don't read the book. But anyway, you take the test, and it tells you what your prominent love language is out of those 5, and it tells you what your partner's love language is. So then you can go home at night and feed your partner their love language, and they can feed you your love language, and then your love tank feels full. And if you don't do it, then your partner's liable to go to work, and they're at the water fountain, and some whore comes in. And feeds their love language. And then they feel a tingle. And then Satan swoops in. Y'all know where I'm going with that? It's a disaster. So, there's 5 love languages. There's quality time. You just can sit and watch ESPN with somebody, you know, which I don't want to, but I mean, you just sit with somebody. Okay, then there's gifts. And you can just give them a card and they feel loved. It doesn't have to be something expensive. Okay, then there's physical touch. And most women in here will go, "Oh my gosh, that's my husband's physical touch. He's on me like a duck on a June bug." But it's not that kind of nasty. I'm talking about, you know, like there's people that just want to hug you and kiss you and squeeze you and they got to hold your hand. That's the physical touch they're talking about. Okay, then there's words of affirmation. That's mine. So all my husband has to say is, "Leanne, you are a good mama. Leanne, that Trisha Yearwood's chicken piccata is to die for." And then my love tank feels full, and then I'm willing to do something vulgar with him.